Hey friends, it's Pastor Ray, and I am really glad you're here today because I want to have a serious conversation about something that if you get this wrong, it'll derail your life, and if you get it right, the future could be amazing. And here's the question. The four most destructive words in the English language are these. It's just too late. It's just too late for, and then fill in the blank for you. I mean, the minute you get this feeling like, oh gosh, it's just too late for my health, you're done. It's just too late for my marriage, it's done. It's just too late for my kids. You get filled with the toxic emotions of discouragement, despair, depression. It's just too late for my finances. It's just too late for our country. It's just too late to be unified. In other words, it's just too late. Those words are destructive and they will suck you in. Matter of fact, those phrases, it's just too late, that's the quicksand that will suck you under. It's not the problems that suck you under. When the problems cause me to believe it's just too late, then I end up, which means maybe the most important thing during this COVID season is this. How do I let go of it's just too late and rise above that so I have a future instead of I'm mired and stuck where I am now? Now, what I love about this, the book of Nehemiah was written to people who for 92 years are just saying it's just too late. It's too late for our city. It's too late for our businesses. It's too late for the wall to get rebuilt. It's just too late. One guy arrives. One guy shows up on the scene and his name is Nehemiah. And Nehemiah says, not only is it not too late, God is still alive. God is still working when it doesn't look like God is working. And God has sent me here to inspire you so that you can rebuild a wall around your city and have a future you never dreamt possible. And if you're listening to this going, man, I would love to rebuild. I would love to rebuild my business. I'd love to rebuild my hope. I'd love to rebuild my marriage. Love to rebuild my kids. I'd love to rebuild whatever it is for you. Love to rebuild, love to get in shape, rebuild my health, whatever it is you want to rebuild. When you turn to the book of Nehemiah, it lays out four principles. I'm going to give you two today and two tomorrow, so you're not stuck watching this thing forever, but I'll lay them all out right now. Nehemiah shows up, and literally, if you're going, how do I replace this destructive disease of discouragement with the liberating, future-creating thing of hope? How do you replace discouragement with hope? The most important spiritual discipline you will ever develop outside of reading the Bible? Here it is, okay? Number one is this: you refresh your spirit. Second thing Nehemiah does is he relies on God. You refresh your spirit. Then you rely on God. When I refresh my spirit, that recharges my batteries. When I rely on God, that liberates me from discouragement because I'm not relying. Number three is this, and then you refuse to give up. Four things. I'll talk about this tomorrow. Four things cause them to want to give up. So you refresh your spirit. Say it with me. Then you rely on God. Then I refuse to give up. Way to go. And then the last thing is this, and it's massively important. I refocus on the future. Refresh your spirit, rely on God, refuse to give up, and refocus on the future. I'm going to unpack each one of those rapidly, just the first couple now. Number one is this: refresh your spirit. Nehemiah arrives. Everybody's discouraged. Matter of fact, chapter 1 in Nehemiah, he's discouraged. He's like, it's too late for that city. And it says this: when I heard these things, I sat down and wept. He's bummed out. For some days I mourned, and then here it changes. And I fasted and I prayed before the God of heaven. And then he gets his eyes off of himself and and the politics of the day. And he gets them onto God. And he says, oh Lord, God of heaven, you're the great and awesome God who keeps his covenant of love with those who love him. And he goes back to the promises of God and he refreshes his spirit, because that's what it's going to take. The single most important thing you can do when you're down, when you're depressed, when you're discouraged about your company or whatever it is just go, I am going to check out for a second. I am going to recharge my spiritual batteries, draw close to God, and watch this explosion of life. I saw that happen this morning. Our staff gathered, all 350 of us, outdoors at Bayside, and we had our first in-person staff meeting in 5.5 months. And I cannot explain to you what it was like to be there. There were 3 worship songs. And I am crying, and I don't cry much during church. I am bawling my eyes out and getting into the presence of God. And we are singing these songs, and you could feel the Spirit of God rush into the building, and you could feel people liberated. I literally was transformed during worship by the truth that we were singing, and it recharged my batteries. Hey, man, I am good for another week, baby. The number one is this: refresh your spirit. Maybe the best way to describe that is this. A while back, an aeronautical engineer who teaches at UC Davis, a guy named Jim, called me and said, hey, can we have lunch? So I drove down to Davis, and he and I think we're going to go to a restaurant, okay, Denny's, whatever. And Jim goes, oh, I get in his car, and he says, oh, we're not going to a restaurant. I go, where are you going? He goes, it's a surprise. Well, he drives to this little airport they have in Davis and pulls into the airport. And he said, I just thought we'd go flying in my little plane for lunch. And I'm going, okay. So here's what happens. He hands me a sack lunch he'd made. We hop in this guy's plane and we take off. And he gets up to about 5,000 feet and we're talking, kind of laughing, having a good time. We both got headsets on. And then he starts deciding he's going to mess with me. And so he goes, do you want to see what it would be like if you were weightless? And before I could say no, he takes the plane and he just dives, okay? I mean, the sack lunch flies to the roof, my stomach flies up, and I'm going, and he just does a steep dive, then he levels off, and I'm panicked now. And then he says, Ray, hey, do you want to see what it would be like if you weighed twice what you weigh now? I don't know about you, but my goal is not to weigh twice what I weigh now. But before I could say no, he takes that plane and he goes straight up, okay? And we're going straight up, and my stomach is now dropped down, and I'm just going, and then he levels off, and now I'm sort of going, why did I get in this plane with this crazy guy? And then he says, do you want to see, Ray, what it would be like to be 6,000 feet above Davis with no engine in this plane? And before I could say, no, he reaches up and he turns the plane off. And I'm going, we're going to die. You know what was weird? He turned the plane off and nothing happened. The prop kept spinning because the wind's hitting it. It actually got a little quieter. And the plane literally is just going forward, and it didn't dive bomb. And I'm sitting here going, this is unbelievable. I can be, 6,000 feet up in a plane with no engine, and it makes no difference for a while. But if he doesn't restart that engine, and get energy going on that plane, that momentary lack of energy is going to cause the plane to crash and burn, and I'm going down with it. That was a very valuable lesson for me to learn with a crazy guy in a plane above UC Davis. And here it is, okay? You can actually maybe disconnect from God and Jesus in your Bible for a little while. It may be a longer time for you, okay? However, you may go, I didn't read my Bible yesterday. That didn't make much difference. I didn't go to church last week. That didn't make much difference. Recharging your spiritual batteries, refreshing your spirit is ultimately the thing that is going to keep you airborne, flying above the circumstances of your life and give you hope and a future and elevate your life. Or without that kind of thing, you are due for a crash and burn. That is one of the reasons I'm so glad you tuned into this, because maybe some of us need to hear the voice of God. It all starts, there are 4 steps, and I'll cover the other 3 tomorrow. There are 4 steps, but it all starts with this: refreshing your spirit. Because when we refresh your spirit, the engine inside you starts up, and all of a sudden you feel lift come in, and you're rising above the circumstances of life, living in the joy and power of an engine running God who's really filling your life with faith and love. So love you all. By the way, if you know anybody that needs encouragement today, just send them the link to this and tell them to watch it. And we'll see you tomorrow. God bless everybody. Keep the engines running.